Greetings once again. It's Dr. Jonathan and the Althea community coming live today from the magnificent lake country around Kenora, Ontario, Canada. And hopefully my feed is easy to hear and even better to see. I had thought about possibly doing this inside today because it is a bit cool and dreary, but I know that many of you have been in some unbelievable heat this summer, so I thought a little cool weather might look good to the screen and to the eyes. And even though I do have some congestion and a bit of a cold, I'm happy to be outside because being outside is really an incredible way of staying connected inside. Today, our theme is how to live with open hearts when the whole world feels like it's closing in around us. So we're going to do a few announcements. We'll get settled, do a breath, a little reading, meditation, and so on, and then we'll get right into our message and see where that takes us. Sound good? So, of course, our group is slowly building. If you're out there already, make sure you send a little note. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Susan. Send your little hearts, your emojis, your greetings, your good mornings, your blessings. It matters. It matters to everyone who's online and everyone who's coming online with us. And, of course, to all those who watch this later. So I'm going to do these announcements again at the end because I know our numbers are a little bit low right now and they're going to grow over the next 5 minutes or so. So here we go. We will soon be selling as a great service to our community, but also as a, a fundraiser for Althea. We will be selling beautiful Althea Masks. And it's kind of like a scarf. I think they're called gaiters. Very nice quality, easy and comfortable to put over, and then easy to drop down when you're on your own, and meets the needs of our now statewide mandate for masks inside and out. And these Althea masks are beautiful purple, and then it says Althea with the flower of life on it in a whole bunch of places all over. It looks really cool. And so if you're thinking of investing in a mask, hang on, because a good one's coming your way soon. Classes at Althea on Tuesday, July 8th. We have our session with Robin Locke, and we're thinking of it as Insights from the Elders, a way to connect through intuition with all those that guide and govern from above, light beings, helpers, and so on. Suzanne Hunt's Healing Meditation Series begins August 26th. That's August 26th. And then, of course, next Thursday, we have Community Connections once again. And that's the live gathering that I do on Thursdays. It's at 11 o'clock. Hey, Carrie. Hey, Jane. I'm just seeing some of the names pop up here. Callie, Suzanne. Nice to see you all. So Community Connections is on Thursday, and what we've been doing lately is focusing more on connecting as a community. We don't have a specific theme, but we're interested in whatever people are facing or learning or going through, and then we use that as a way to connect and explore some information together. Christina, hello, Christina. Beautiful lake view. I know. And really, you should stick around just to watch the way this changes over the next 45 minutes because it's awesome here. The wind changes, the light changes, the cloud changes. One of my favorite things about the place where I am is the fact that everything is dynamic. So it's water and it's forests and vast skies. And so everything is fluid and constantly changing. And it reminds me how in our human lives, that is such a test and a challenge. We really resist and feel anxious in the presence of such constant change. And yet we forget that from a neutral perspective, energy, life, which is just energy, is beautiful. And that constantly changing energy enlivens the mind and the spirit. And so awakening to a place that is always new even though it is the same place day after day, is a pretty special experience. On that note, we're going to turn towards our gathering today. Again, we just finished our announcements, reminding you Althea Masks, face masks are coming soon. Tuesday, July 28th, Robin Locke class, Insights from the Elders. Suzanne Hunt's class, August 26th. My group live Zoom, Community Connections, is on Thursday. And of course, we are looking to recover from our little bit of a struggle in June for donations. We kind of dropped 6,000 in the hole. It's pretty big, but we know we can come through it together, and we know that people are facing hard times, but we also know that Althea and this community and what it stands for is something important in this world today, maybe more than ever, a sanctuary that affirms unity through diversity. On that note, let's catch a breath, let's slow down, and let's get centered for our purpose together today, to be connected virtually and online, and to share in readings, messages, meditations, and all the things that unite us, no matter where we are. So first, wherever you are, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in. So big breath in, long, slow, deep breath out. And let's continue like that a few times. Big, exaggerated breath in. Maybe hold it a moment. Notice where you're feeling any tension, tightness, stuckness. And then breathe it out long and slowly. And as you breathe out, feel your body softening and settling. Feel yourself connecting with your own stillness and your own silence. And as you connect with stillness and silence, feel your way into this place, this quiet, intimate, interior darkness. And for this moment, let us affirm that this is not our deepest place of isolation, but this is our fullest place of connection. Every time you close your eyes, take your breath, find your stillness. May we each and all remember that this is the place where we are united. This is the place where we remember that time and space, body and difference are illusions that keep us separate. But when we close our eyes and open our hearts, we see the world rightly. And we affirm that we are together now, close as ever, closer than we could have imagined. And whether we watch this now or later, no matter where we watch this from, we affirm that in this breath, in this stillness, we are as one. And keeping your eyes closed, it is in this spirit that we share in our statement of being. A reminder of the deep affirmation of the oneness of spirit that unites our community and everyone who gathers here. If you remember, let's share in this affirmative prayer that's been passed to us for generations in our community. God is all, both invisible and visible, one presence, one mind, one power is all. And this one that is all is perfect life and perfect love and perfect substance. We are individualized expressions of God, and yet are ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. Continuing with eyes closed, breath now soft and regular, down into the belly, breathing out love into the world, breathing in life force, we pray together, each in our own way, and yet as one. To the one that is all, Spirit of life, great mystery, our source and creator, dear God. Hear our prayer today. Feel our prayer today through every cell of our being, every bone of our body, on the wind, through the sun, the flowers, the streets and highways, the waters, through all of creation. Hear our prayer, for it is endless. And in this moment, we open ourselves that that living prayer might flow through us. This is a prayer for harmony. Today we pray for peace. Peace within ourselves, peace within our families, peace within our communities, peace within our world. Peace without clinging, attachment, or control, dear God. Peace like harmony, the concert of forces in life, wind and rain, sun and water. Today we affirm the peace of the world and we call for it in our own lives. Peace through gratitude. Gratitude for all the ways we are nourished in body and mind, heart and soul. Peace for the growth and the healing of our soul through the heart. Through the gratitude that today we can love and learn. We can let go and live fully. Today we pray peace through the vibrant power of life showing itself, shining itself, sharing itself through all beings, those in need, those unwell, those who struggle, those seeking help, those in need of help. We share this love abundantly with all beings. And we call for the restoration of our relationships, our connection with life, and this whole world, seen and unseen. Dear God, we affirm and give thanks for the oneness that we are, and pray that we would have the courage and clarity to remember it and live by it day by day by day. Dear God, we are grateful for this great awareness that makes itself known as us, to us, through us. In this moment, dear God, we are united by the most abundant gratitude, for we know, we have faith that all will be well, and that the soul is exactly as it should be in this moment, unfolding in love, wisdom, and awakening through this precious moment. For all these things and the prayers that remain unspoken in our hearts, in our minds, in our community, and in our world, we lift them together and we say, Amen. And so today, I thought I would share a poem before moving into our message. And each Sunday has been similar, although, a little different. The poems here, the poems there, statement of being is here, there, meditations move around, and so on. But today I was thinking about whether I would share a story or not, and frankly, it occurred to me that the only story that we need to start with is the one that we're sharing right now. We are in an incredible moment in this world, on this planet, in which for 4 months now we have been thrust into the near constant contemplation of interconnection. The near constant contemplation of interconnection in such a way that we are able to recognize a truth that we have long spoken intellectually, but not always felt personally, emotionally, or even spiritually. For 4 months now, we have watched COVID rates from country to country, city to city, town to town. We are comparing countries. We are contrasting communities. And so whether we know it or not, regardless of whether it's been a positive, joyful exercise or a disturbing exercise, the consistency has been the collective. That we have thought long and hard about Italy or Spain or China or the mask wearers or those who don't wear masks or the Republicans or the Democrats or one country or another. It has been very difficult to pass these 4 months without continuously thinking of the world as one community, one family with many facets, forces, and faces. And this contemplation is powerful, for it is the foundation of the one new wave of consciousness that will sustain us and our planet. Of course, if we want to recommit to old ways, if we want to recommit to personal preferences, if we want to recommit to division instead of the embrace of difference, we can do that. But I think it's more and more apparent to more and more people as we reach a critical mass that the consciousness of division, of power over, is not one that will sustain us long in this world. It's true, some communities continue to choose it with a passion. And it's true that in each of our own lives, some of us are reacting to what's going on with that same microcosm of fear and clinging, attachment and protectionism. But regardless of the macro or the micro, the grand or the small, the global or the local, we are becoming saturated in the contemplation of our interdependence. And we are forced to face the hard truths about what will lead us forward and what will keep us stuck. Of course, if the pandemic wasn't enough, in the United States, the explosion of passion and communication around racism, systemic prejudice, and justice for all people, regardless of color, religion, gender, sexuality. It is intense, it is alive, and it is rippling around the world. For in this moment, it would seem the United States is playing its part in the global consciousness, as each country does in its own time. Each country, just as each family member holds a consciousness for the whole family, each country, whether it's been Germany or Israel, Russia or Brazil, each country holds a place in the collective, plays out a part of the human story that all may witness the theater of the soul's life on earth and learn from it, live from it, react to it, and come to a new place because of it. And so this interconnection through division, through politics, through race, through health, has challenged us, and we are left with one simple awareness. We as a community, particularly the Althea community, we are left with one simple awareness, which is that life is clearly, must clearly be about the soul's journey, the soul's evolution. It is the only way to make sense of the chaos and concern that we find in the world, the peace and the beauty that still remains despite it all. But what do we do with this awareness? What do we do with this awareness of interconnection? How do we make the most of it? And of course, the answer is to live as one. Not one the same, but one as one loving, respectful, restorative, uplifting family. It means to live from the heart. If what we are experiencing is truly the soul's journey, then it is the heart that marks the transition from lives disconnected from the soul and lives embedded in the soul. To live a soulful life, to live a soul-centered life, is to live a life with the heart open. When the heart is open, the soul is engaged. When the heart is closed, the soul retreats. And so the foundation of our conversation today is the awareness that interconnection has revealed to us the significance and the, I would say, irrefutability of the primacy of the soul's role in life. Because the only way we can make sense of that interconnection, metaphysically and physically, is to understand ourselves, each and all, as souls evolving, each in our own way, in our own time, each playing different roles, each as teachers and learners together for each other. But once we establish all that we need to live with open hearts, to awaken the soul's journey in a time of interconnected chaos, then what? It's nice to say, it's nice to read, it's nice to post on Instagram, but how do you actually live with an open heart when you get up from your yoga mat, you get up from your meditation cushion, you get up from your Althea gathering, and all you see and feel around you is a world shutting down, a world closing in. All you see is people everywhere, in fear. So I'd like to read this poem by Mary de la Valette, a poet and activist who was involved in the Gaia Institute in Massachusetts, and use this poem as a kind of transition into the four forces of life, the four choices that we can make to keep our hearts open in difficult times. Again, it's Mary de la Valette, Valette, if you're looking her up. Let us understand the gravity of our situation. Let us understand that our only redemption is love. Love for a small, endangered planet on which we are utterly dependent. Only love can transform us from plunderers and savages into earth keepers and peacemakers. Only love can show us the integrity and rights of all other beings. only love can open our eyes to the truth and beauty that surrounds us. Only love can teach us the humility we need to live on this earth. And only love can now save us from extinction. So, we talk of living with an open heart. We talk of love and loving, but what does that look like when you don't feel like it? What does it look like when that feels confusing? What do you actually do to keep your heart open when you feel force after force, news feed after news feed, conversation after conversation that stimulates fear, uncertainty, anxiety? Where do you go? What do you do? I'd like to suggest that there's 4 things you can do. Like the 4 forces of nature, like the 4 phases of self, like the 4 directions. Behind me, the east; to my left, the south; before me, the west; to my right, the north. And these 4 actions can be the foundation of a life of total awakening. The first is to let go of everything. The second is to love everything unconditionally. The third is to learn from life endlessly. And the fourth is to live everything fully. Now I'm going to go through these so you don't have to remember them, but we have let go of everything, love everything, learn from everything, and live everything fully. We start with the principle of letting go of everything because the first thing that triggers the closing of the heart is the feeling of attachment to what was, to what we want, to how we want things to be, and most significantly, to how we want to feel. The attachment to how we want to feel is at the heart of all clinging, all attachment. And so when you live in a time in which everything is changing and it feels like things are being pulled away, and things are being pulled away and taken and changed, then the impulse naturally becomes clinging, resisting, anxiety, the resistance to truly letting go and having faith that something new is next, that something more is on the way, that something different will soon be ours in place of what we have now. Letting go is easily said but difficult to do, and yet we can make it a conscious practice, a conscious effort, a principle of life. Learn to let go again and again and again, and yes, let go of everything. Let go of your attachment to health, to family, to financial security. Let go of it all, because letting go of something doesn't actually take it away from you. Letting go is about creating space in your relationship with that something. So if I'm afraid of losing my job and I feel myself internally clinging to it, when I let go of it and I accept that I might lose it, it doesn't mean that I actually give up my job or I stop doing it well. It means that I release the tension and the clinging that is between me and that same thing that I love and want to hold on to. Same is true of relationships or health or whatever. When you let go of it, what you're really letting go is the feeling of clinging and tension and contraction that you have created between you and it. And you have the space to recognize that what you're really letting go of is not the thing, but your attachment to the way you think the thing makes you feel. Anything you struggle to let go of, you are struggling to let go of the way you think it makes you feel. You think it makes you feel safe. You think it makes you feel whole. You think it makes you feel like the you that you know, all you know, is that thing, that person, that job, that money, that home, that whatever. It's your comfort. It's what you know. And yet feelings are not in things, and you know that. It's not in people. It's not in houses. It's not in jobs. Feelings, your feelings, are within you alone. And so, the light, the hope, the support to your letting go is knowing that you could find the same feeling through something else. Through spiritual practice, through new things, through different things, and sometimes through no things at all. So the first principle that helps us to keep the heart open, to cease the contraction of the heart, the first principle is let go of everything. Everything, everything, everything. The second principle is to learn from everything, everything, everything. Now, I might have said the order differently before, but this is, if you're going to put them in a developmental flow, this is the one I like. So first, create space. Let go of the clinging, the control, the attachment, the judgment, and then move to curiosity. What is this resistance teaching you? What is this relationship teaching you? What is this moment teaching you? Every single moment of your life can teach you something directly or indirectly about yourself, about the world, about how the soul evolves, about how life works. And you can say, well, I'm tired of learning. I'm tired of life always being a lesson. Or I don't believe that there's anything good that can come of this. I don't believe that there's any lesson here, and that's fine. You can certainly say that. But those are really more emotional statements. The simple, I guess if you want to call it fact, the simple fact is, if you choose to learn, you can. If you choose to learn from anything, everything, and anyone, there is something there for you in each moment. Even if sometimes the lesson is, this is a thing I don't need to learn from anymore. Or this is a thing I need to learn something new from. Or this is a thing that's really teaching me about something else. So first, we cultivate letting go to keep the heart open. The second thing is that we diffuse the power of the things we resist, the things that scare us, the fear that we feel, by being curious, by turning things into teachers instead of terrors. What can I learn from whatever this struggle is? And the heart stays open. The third principle is to love everything. And of course, I appreciate that saying to love everything is a part of how we keep the heart open. Sounds a little bit redundant, right? Like you keep your heart open by keeping your heart open, right? But let's go into this. When we say learn to love everything or simply love everything, what we're talking about is not liking everything. We're not talking about tolerating everything. We're not talking about endorsing or voting for everything. What we're talking about is simply opening the heart of kindness and compassion to everything. To be respectful of everything. To be willing to listen to everything. To be willing to dignify everything with its own story and its own energy and its own life. It simply means to accept things as they are. Accept meaning allow it into your heart without judgment, without needing to fix it or correct it. And that's tough. That's tough because we've been conditioned to believe in our lives, so many of us, that love is a kind of precious metal of which there is little, and we give it to some and not to others, and we put it in a high tower, in a locked chest. But that's not the real nature of love in our world. The real nature of love is that the more we want it for ourselves, the more we should give it. The more love we give, the more love we experience. And the more we fear that it will be taken, the more we fear that it won't be given, the more that we mistrust that it is ever present always, the more our own experience of it is diminished. And yes, it takes courage to accept everything as it is, to love everything as it is. Absolutely. It takes courage, it takes commitment, and at first it feels so vulnerable, terrifying sometimes, that I might be this open to give the thing that I've always been told I'll never have enough of, and somehow be okay. But in the loving, in the accepting, what we find is that our awareness expands. Now think about this for a moment. If God is love, if God is awareness, if God is consciousness, then whatever we put our love on, whatever we extend our love to, extends where we can see, feel, and know God. Where we express love, we may know God. Where we express love, we may know consciousness and energy. And so if you want to experience God everywhere, sacredness everywhere, wisdom everywhere, connection everywhere, then you've got to share your love everywhere. You might say the size of your consciousness is the size of your love. The size of your God is the size of your love. And if you live in a love circle that is small and tight and self-serving, then all the things you truly long for in life will be the same. Contracted, diminished, restricted, and sometimes even in fear of running out. But when you love generously, when you love everything, everywhere, and by that I mean you extend awareness and acceptance, then the heart expands, awareness expands, and God, in fact, does not expand, but is suddenly able to be experienced. You are able to experience divinity, sacredness, wisdom, wherever your love goes. So think about that. Your ability to love and what you include in your sphere, in your energy of love, defines the size, the dynamism, the scope, the capacity of your own life. So make it big, make it infinite, make it endless. Leave nothing out of your field of loving. And yes, you are free to have boundaries. You are free to have barriers. You are free to make choices. You are free to not tolerate or promote everything in that love, but only through the energy of acceptance, expansion, affirmation, the energy of love, will you find that enduring strength. And so again, when we say love everything as it is, we don't actually mean to tolerate or to like. We mean simply to expand your awareness, your acceptance, so you have the freedom and power to be more, feel more, know more, do more, and keep your heart open. So we have let go of everything, we have learned from everything, and we have loved everything. But the last one is something that in some ways, I think it took me a lot longer to really understand than I had thought. It was something that I think I said a lot, but I don't know that I really got until later in life. And that is to live everything fully. Live everything fully is something like making life your spiritual practice. It's something like learning to be in the moment. It's something like learning to be present, but it's actually much more. To contemplate the phrase, live everything fully, implies all those things. Life is your practice. Everything can be sacred. Live in the moment, be present, but more so, it means that whatever you're experiencing must be considered a part of the soul's journey and so embraced with every facet of who and what you are. It means to be more than your mind, more than your accomplishments, more than your intellect, more than your ideas, more than what other people see, more than what other people think. It means to engage life with your senses, with thought and feeling, with taste and touch and sound and smell. It means to embrace whatever experience you're in, even if it doesn't feel wise, even if it doesn't feel enlightened. It means to cultivate that kind of way of being that accepts, that loves, that learns intensely from everything that's going on. And if what's going on is painful, then explore the feeling of pain. If what's going on is joyful, then celebrate the feeling of joy. If what's going on feels confusing, be with the confusion. Live it fully. For as we live fully, we are carried through to the next layer of life, the next lesson of life, more completely, and sometimes more efficiently. When we struggle with life, typically we are struggling with our idea of life, our idea of what life should have been, could have been. And so living fully is about setting down those projections and expectations. It's about letting go. It's about being curious. It's about accepting what is present and engaging it. And if this moment, I just feel ordinary and vulnerable, then be that. Be as ordinary and vulnerable as you can be. And if in this moment I feel resilient and inspired, then if so, be resilient and be inspired fully. Feel no shame for any moment of your life and being. This is the heart of living fully. This is the heart of living fully. And this is the heart of keeping your love open to the world. Live each experience fully, even when the experience feels disconnected from spirit. By living it fully, you reconnect with spirit. By living any moment of life and bringing our full attention, our full awareness, all of our senses to it, we do bring ourselves to the moment, and suddenly we can sense the bigger story living within this tiny preoccupation that has caught us. We find that in the leaf is the tree. In the grain of sand is the mountain. In the struggle of a relationship is the wholeness of love and self-discovery. By living anything fully, we come into a new relationship with everything. And so these four principles each feed each other, support each other, and ultimately show us the way to a life that is heart-centered, heart-opened, and learns to love no matter what may be going on within or around us. But it's a practice. It's definitely a practice. These four things require our commitment. They require our focus. They require our passionate intensity day by day by day. And guess what? when you fall down, and you don't feel like you're doing it well, then the same four principles will help. Learn to let go of your judgment, of your failure. Learn to learn from what is your temporary setback or why this moment is harder than others. Love yourself in your moment of setback. And affirm the power of this experience on the human journey. It is all for the soul's growth. And so whatever you are going through, let go, learn, love, and live fully. So we're coming to an end of our time. And I want to thank you for what you shared. I'm actually looking at some of the messages that are going on here, and I saw that Ginny repeated something I said, turning things into teachers instead of terrors. And someone asked for a clarification of that. And it was something that I had said, and the idea as we're wrapping up here is just that it's time to stop seeing division in the world. And by division, I'm really referring to the first division, the idea that there's anything outside ourselves, the idea that we are ever separate, because every single thing is an extension of our soul, both by virtue of the oneness of spirit and energy, but also by virtue of the fact that we only know life through our own perception. We only know life through our own perception. So if you see fear everywhere, that's also your fear. If you see opportunity everywhere, that's also your opportunity. So wherever we encounter a world outside ourselves, turn it into a teacher. Let things be teachers, not terrors. For just as I sit with my daughter at night and remind her that there are no such things as monsters except in our minds, at some level the same is true of life. Yes, and we may be facing monstrous things, and we may be facing monstrous people, but our ability to keep our heart open to them is our power to influence, change, and call peace and harmony for the world to come. Well, there's a lot more to say, obviously, but it is our time to wrap up. So I wanted to close by sharing a reading with you, and then, of course, a closing prayer. So let's take a breath. And of course, I want to thank you, everyone, for all your notes and posts. And if you have favorite things you heard today, post them for other people. I think that's great and beautiful. And thank you for being with me outside in this cool and blustery day. I know I look kind of like I just roll out of bed. I didn't. It's later here, but I have a little bit of a cold, and it's a little bit of one of those. I don't know. It's one of those crumpled up days, and I'm happy to share it with you. So let's take a deep breath in. And a big breath out. And a big breath in, and feel yourself drawing in life force from anything and everything that blesses you and inspires you, from the beauty of our world. And then with your exhale, breathe it out as kindness and love for all that is struggling and torn, all that is broken. Donna Markova, who was an author and editor for Utah Magazine, wrote, "May I, may you, may we not die unlived lives. May none of us live in fear of falling or catching fire. May we choose to inhabit our days, to allow our living to open us, to make us less afraid, more accessible, to loosen our hearts until they become wings, torches, promises. May each of us choose to risk our significance to live, so that which comes to us as seed goes to the next as blossom, and that which comes to us as blossom goes on as fruit. And so from this place, we close our circle together with gratitude and love. Blessings for community, the power to connect and to remember our interconnection. Gratitude for the wisdom and nourishment that lives at the heart of all life. Gratitude for this planet, for this earth, for this thing we call nature, our mother, and all beings as family, plants and stones, rivers and mountains, beasts and insects, fish and fowl. We close with a prayer for all life around us. And we affirm that our blessing and love of service, all life around us is the blessing and service of all life within us. And we pray for the courage to see that the wholeness and harmony around us reflects the wholeness and harmony within us. And may we each and together be as a light of love for ourselves, for each other, and our world. Amen. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all your donations. Thank you for your support and help. Thank you for your volunteering. Thank you for the ways you have kept community strong with Althea. Please remember to keep reaching out to each other. You can set up your own Zoom groups. You can go for your own social distancing walks. Thank you for your generosity, the financial contributions that are now coming throughout the month, and especially the ones that you share on Sundays. These make a huge difference to us, so that we are not going to face debt, but instead strength. Your posts, your comments, it's all beautiful and wonderful, and we're grateful for it. And you don't realize it, but you keep each other and myself, you keep the Althea community strong just through your presence and through the way you give, whatever it is you can give. So yes, look forward to the masks. Check out our events page. We have things coming up. And it is true, in August, we are planning our first in-person get-togethers. And we are, in fact, also planning to do the first ones outside. So there'll be space between us and a safe environment. And we can start to see each other again and feel the physical presence of each other again. So good days are ahead, and it is a rich time for the soul. Thank you all, and I hope we'll see you soon.